gentlemen, welcome to Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak. With me today on episode 58 is Baroness Shroudstar. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, fantastic. Thanks
I
for
might be a
coming
little
on.
bit tongue-tied because as I was telling you earlier, I've had clients all day and I talk for a living. So if I just start messing up all of my words and turning it into gobbledygook, that's why.
Well, it's understandable, and we'll try not to hold it against you too much. But let's get to the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Um, how long have you been playing Amcard?
I've been playing Amp Guards for probably about 6 years now because I actually started Amp Guard when my husband at the time, who was just my first date, asked me to an event. So
Fantastic. Okay. So you're learning about Amcard and the day that you started playing Amcard are roughly the same day?
yeah,
Okay.
we met on OkCupid and he asked me to go to a joint unit battle in Neverwinter. So that was like a whole bunch of different, that was Amp Guard, Way of the Sword, Dagahir, a bunch of other like things. And it was a really boring date because I had no idea what was going on.
That's fair. That's fair. Shout out to OkCupid. Thanks for, making people see people. Okay. All right. Still would like to know, could you tell us about your persona?
So Shroudstar is mad with power. So the entire idea of Shroudstar started in Neverwinter. I was a pirate that was helping the kind of lead captain, and everything started going to crap. We were like completely berated by the Fae, and everything was just getting blown up. Then I went to Rivermore for a little bit, and then Emerald Hills. And Emerald Hills is where I really started developing my actual persona. I went into park office and spent the entire time basically telling everyone that I was going to invade them and destroy them because Falcon's Moon is the best park of all time. And so I declared war on the entirety of Emerald Hills and then was assassinated by the meanest human being in all of the land, Art, that jerk, who stabbed me from behind. And so that was awful, and I was dead. But then I got risen as an undead minion to Sir Warwick, and then he basically is just too powerful, and I couldn't handle all the power that was happening. And so then I went even more insane, and then I started basically taking the magic out of magical animals and sticking it into a ship so that I could fly my ship and just bomb people from the sky. So my persona is not the brightest human being in the universe, but you know what? She's creative.
Yeah. Yeah. You died and got better. You're a mighty Python skid at this point.
I mean, I wouldn't say I got better. I got crazy.
All right. What award or achievement would you say that you're most proud of receiving?
So I got Dreamkeeper of the Emerald Hills.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually a recent award from Bloodwood's Reign. And embarrassingly enough, when I got it, I didn't know what it was. And I thought it was like a custom title.
Oh, okay.
And then then Art, the big meanie butt, actually was like, man, that's a really cool award. And I'm like, it is? And he's like, yeah. And so I actually did research on it and realized that it was like a once in a lifetime type award. And I was just like, oh, this is really cool. Okay.
That's awesome. Okay. Morgan would like to know, what's your favorite battle game and why?
So my favorite battle game, so in general, I really do like kind of like castle defense games or games where there is actual role play behind it. Like there's a reason that we're doing it in part of like the kingdom's overall plan or the park's overall plan. But I also have a favorite game I've ever been a part of, which I guess is kind of a different question, but I can go into it if you want.
Yeah, please, by all means.
So we had a really cool member of Falcon's Moon at one point who owned a kind of like a paintball airsoft archery field type thing. And so he was able to build up all of these different like structures and things. So like we actually had like archer towers that you had to climb up into. And we did a basically keep away game where it was you had to try and keep people away from a specific objective, and my entire team died, and I was the only one left, and I was playing like fourth level bard, and I managed to keep an entire team of alive people away from me. And it actually lasted, I think, for almost 15 minutes, where I was the only person alive on the team, and I kept the entire group away from me. So, like, that's my favorite game I've ever played.
Awesome. Okay. When you're being awesome at battle gaming and keeping people away from you, what class are you playing?
Bard,
The bard. Okay.
it's my favorite.
Okay. That's fair. And what's your weapon loadout? What's your favorite weapon set?
So I usually have a medium shield and a short sword. That's my usual go-to, and then all of the magic that I can remember.
There you go. I mean, outside of having to wear a shield, because shields are the worst, but
Shields are the best.
oh, ugh. Okay, that's fine. You have the right to be wrong. That's fine. Well, those are the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Let's get to the three questions the KOK viewers have been asking since week one. They are being modified now because we're getting some results in. So, um, Sir, Sir Glenolf has received his toaster. It's still sitting right next to me. I mean, so he hasn't technically received it, but there's a toaster that's for him. Morgan would like to know is sure so should is the word I'm looking for there. Should Glenolf's toaster be required to be brought to park, and should there be a toast party after Wacky Bats?
So let's see here. I think that all things should be brought to park, and it should actually be just a giant potluck as soon as things happen, and the toaster can be the star of the potluck. Maybe you could decorate it or like put like little balloons on it, but definitely keep it away from water.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Please keep it away from water. Uh, what are your thoughts on bears?
So I'm totally cool with bears as long as they will let me hug them.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm sure that there are some bears that would be okay with that as a, now I'm speaking for all bear community. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that. Morgan would like to know, who is your favorite bear?
Who is my favorite bear, or what is my favorite bear? Is this like a kingdom question, or is this like a cuddly bear question?
Well, see, if I say it's only a who and you don't say me, I'm going to give points to me anyways. And if you say what, I'm still going to give points to me anyways.
This
So
seems like a difficult question to answer then, because you seem to
it's
just get points.
I mean, outside of the funny questions, this is probably the most difficult question we'll ask all day.
See, I need to think of some other names that you just said so I can just say that they're my favorite bear, even though I've never met them. So
Okay.
you mentioned a guy with a toaster. So Glinoff, he's my favorite bear.
Okay. All right. If anyone remembers Sir Glenel's episode on KOK, that makes sense because he was an animated bear on the episode.
Okay. Aha.
Well, let's do a little bit more of a dive into the bear concept. Are bears on the moon?
I feel like if they are, they're probably dead.
Mm,
There's not air there.
I mean, that's what they want you to believe.
Maybe there's just very dangerous bears. Maybe the entire moon is a bear.
Yeah. There we go. The whole bear is The whole bear's a moon. Switch that. Reverse it.
And it's made out of cheese.
Shroudstar, what are your thoughts on Dragonspine getting a mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
I think that that's the best idea, and I kind of want the Emerald Hills to have one.
Okay. All right. When do you plan on visiting Dragonspine to join us in using the mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
Well, so as I told you before, I know actually very little about Dragonspine, but I see here that it's in New Mexico, and I do have some friends in Artesia.
Mm-hmm.
So that at least gets close.
Okay. Fair enough. Would you allow bears in the mobile pool and or jacuzzi?
If they shave first.
Oh.
I feel like there would just be a whole lot of issue with like the fur just clogging everything, because that happens.
Yeah. I mean, Morgan keeps a clean face, but I shaved for St. Jude's, so I'm trying to, I'm fine with that.
I keep picturing actual bears. So.
Well, that's the complication, because as soon as you started thinking as just humans going by bear personas, we start talking about real bears again.
Yeah.
We got to keep you on your toes here on KOK. And the last part of the pool and or jacuzzi question: how do you think Dragon Spine should fund it? Again, Dragon Spine, this is a joke. We're not actually going to try to fund a pool and or jacuzzi, but if we did, how would we do that?
Pokemon card tournaments.
Yes, that's probably the actual answer.
Okay.
We're going to have Pokemon tournaments, and Menace, you can help build the decks because you're very good at building decks, and we will play Pokemon with $2 buy-ins, and all proceeds will go to turning a truck into a mobile pool and or jacuzzi.
That sounds like a fantastic plan.
Sure. I'm here for it. Those were the questions that have been asked by KOK viewers every week since week 1. Let's get into your questions. You had a bunch. Most of them fall into the most serious of categories, but let's get to the ones that aren't. Smiley would like to know, what is your favorite amp guard equipment that you own?
Oh, okay. I thought we were going straight into the trivia, and I was like, okay, bracing myself.
No.
So when I got married, but basically everything got postponed like 3 billion times because of COVID.
Yep.
But when we were doing our engagement shoot, I had his and her swords made, and that was actually, they were made, I feel like Smiley knows this, from Smiling Foamworks. Yep. So those are my favorite swords. My favorite other equipment is I did make a curved shield. So whether you like shields or not, it's still my favorite. And I made it and I thought it was awesome.
I mean, I don't want to take away from your right to be wrong, but that's fine. That's fine. You can have a shield. That's cool. What arts and science skill do you most want to develop in AmpGuard?
So I really do love the idea of role play. I know that not a lot of people want to do the idea of like, here's my persona and I'm just going to be my persona for the entire time. And I don't necessarily think that that's necessary, like that's the role play that needs to happen, but I like the storyline. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a lot more inclusive for people who might not want to embody their persona all the time. So like I'm really big into crafting battle games that go off of a theme or quests that are really like big, large, and immersive, because then people can kind of do small bits of role play or at least be involved in a storyline. So that's kind of the area of RP that I would really like to foster, or not RP, arts and sciences that I would like to foster, because it involves storytelling skills and writing. And you know, if you're creating games, that can also involve like art, because like the Door-Un has all of the art that's involved. So I feel like it can go into bits and pieces of a whole lot of different things.
Absolutely. That sounds great. All right. Radish Manthax would like to know, have you learned any new skills in AmpGuard that you can apply to your mundane life?
I feel like if someone broke into my house, I could be really intimidating and just like whack them a whole bunch. That's probably not what he means, but we do have weaponry in the house in terms of like axes. Okay. In terms of not going after people with the axes in our house, one day I would like to say that I've learned how to sew. One day.
One day. Today is not that day.
No. There's an entire story involving someone trying to teach me how to make a tunic, and I made a single square, and he basically made me the rest of the tunic.
I feel that. If you get an opportunity to ever see my my first qualls, the tabards I made, where the edging of the tabards and the tabards themselves didn't always touch on the way down, and yeah, I feel that. Sewing. Art would like to know, when are you going to learn the dominant fighting style that is flow?
So Art needs to apparently come to Falcon's Moon more, because I actually do fight flow. Flow is what I learned first. I had a short sword and a long sword, and I would basically position myself so that the long sword was behind, so that everyone thought that it was a short sword, and then I would just like try and go for, you know, arms. And so I learned on flow, and then I decided that I really like sword and shield better, because shield is the superior way of fighting.
Oh, well, I mean, that's
Add
That's
a
just
flail in there, even better.
oh God, I almost threw up in my mouth. Okay. Uh I gotta give myself some air here. Okay. Morgan would like to know, have you played in any other kingdoms?
So I started in Neverwinter.
Oh,
Neverwinter is where I decided that I liked Amtgard enough to stay.
hmm.
I fought at the Ember Shoals. So that was in like Plantation, Florida. Then I ended up having to go to Nebraska for an internship. And I ended up fighting at the Ivory Tower when Rivermore first started to be a kingdom. Like I think they actually became a kingdom like maybe like the second week I was there or something. So that was a big deal. And I was like, oh, yay, exciting. I have no idea what's going on. Um, and then I moved into the Emerald Hills. So those are the predominant kingdoms that I have fought in.
Okay. Uh, the next question is back to Bard again, and he would like to know, which is your favorite kingdom that you've played in?
So I would say Emerald Hills. I liked Neverwinter because I kind of was able to develop there, but I don't think I actually got as involved as I could have while I was there. And Emerald Hills, I've been able to really, I think, develop myself as an amp gardener. So I think that that plays a huge role in it in terms of being more comfortable here.
Okay. Fantastic. So Smiley wants to ask a question we already kind of reached into a little bit, but he wants clarification. When are you coming to visit us in southern New Mexico?
Someday.
That's very vague. That's very, very, very vague. I
Which, like, yeah.
typically don't let people get away with very, very vague answers. Uh, Someday.
The difficulty is with like pandemic and everything
Hmm.
and what I do for my mundane work, it is hard to get off time. And
Yeah.
so visits like that, I would want to be able to stay for a little while. And, that would be tricky right now. So I have to be a little bit vague.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna pretend that you said Sunday instead of someday, and we're good. Sunday, guys.
Sure.
Yeah. Kane would like to know, to flurb or to not to flurb?
I feel like the answer is very obviously to flurb.
Yeah.
I mean, right now the sun is going down, so it mostly looks like I have black eyes, but I promise that this is actually usually like garb makeup. So,
Do you think that Amtgard needs to be more flurby to be more successful?
so kind of going back to my other answer about role play, I think that Amtgard could do a lot better at having reigns that not only just have like, aha, this is a Pokemon theme,
Hmm.
but actually having things that invest you and make you want to do different like park visits that make you want to go to the events because it's actually part of a storyline. I think that would be really helpful. Like as much as I joke about, art and everything, the whole reason why we have this joking thing about how much we hate each other in game is because our two parks, he was in Howling Plains, I was in Falcon's Moon, we created an entire role play event about our parks just hating each other and like fighting. And then we had this entire thing where we reconciled and we started fighting against other people and like teaming up. And everyone wanted to go to those events because they wanted to like get back at the mean Howling Plains people, or
Yeah.
they wanted to like gang up and destroy everyone else.
Cool. Can't argue with that. Speaking of rain themes, though, would like to know, what's your favorite rain theme?
So I would say my favorite rain theme so far was probably the one that ended up at least getting the most immersive for like our park. It was Brock Tree's Rain in the Emerald Hills because it was all Redwall themed,
Hmm.
and I love Redwall. Like I grew up with those books, so it was really fun to make my ferret persona and like have the whole like vermin versus goody goody mouse people and stuff and get into it a little bit more. So I had a lot of fun with that.
Okay. All right. So we're going down to Smiley. Off the top of your head, ready? What's the most interesting Amtgard class you can come up with? Go.
Oh, Jeebus criminy. Um, like some sort of animal tamer. I think it would be really cool to, because there's so many different animals that are in the Dortmund, like wolves and boars and things like that,
Hmm.
to be able
Hmm.
to like, I don't know, integrate some of the actual monster classes or like, I think that would be potentially fun. I have no idea how anyone would ever balance it though, so it
Okay.
would probably be terrible.
Okay. All right. Uh, it might be amazing. We don't know. Don't jump to conclusions too far. Still, I would like to know, what do you like to see out of a monarch?
So I feel like a lot of my answers recently have been kind of role play related, but I do like people who really involve the actual parks and it's not just the kingdom and the events. Because events are cool, but not everyone can go to them.
Hmm.
And like the whole idea of being able to take off a weekend when there's a lot of people who work on the weekend or you know, don't have transportation. Like I know that a good number of people at our park would love to go to kingdom events, but they can only go if they get rides or if the stars align.
Hmm.
And so what I like when I think of like really good rains, I think of the rains that really kind of trickle down a little bit to the actual park level, that really make Kingdom like visits immersive and interesting and people who are really accessible to people who can't just go and like actually say hi to them at events. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of a good monarch, is a monarch who is able to talk to even the people who are completely new.
Okay. All right. That's a really great answer. Baron Art is back with another question.
I'm sure he is.
If you could redo one thing in your Amp life, what would it be?
Okay, so when I it was in the beginning of my time at Emerald Hills, and I was confident in my abilities, but at the same time, really insecure about how good I was. And we had a knight at the park who brought his kids. And there was this one thing in the middle of a battle game. I'm pretty sure that the kid got entangled and couldn't remember the rules to entangled and wasn't attacking at all and just like let me kill him without trying. And the knight was like, hey, now he could have attacked, but he didn't. And like in my brain, I was like, oh, I should have known that. I should have known that. And for some reason, the words that came out of my mouth were just so insecure. And I was like, yeah, but I wasn't going to tell him that. And like just ran away. And like it was, so I just came off as a
Mm,
huge jerk because I didn't want to admit that I didn't remember, like, I, I, I didn't remember the rule at that
sure.
point. And I was like, I think about that all the time about how like I could have handled that so differently and how that was like a really immature response. And I actually base a lot of what I try and be as a monarch off of not doing that kind of stuff again, like trying to make myself more accessible to new players, admitting when I do something wrong, admitting when I make a mistake. Like there was one point where I was at an event and I was recharging agoraphobia, which if you know about Bard, you can't recharge agoraphobia. And like I like ran over to that person after the game and I like apologized like crazy because I was like, I don't want to be that person anymore where I just like shake off mistakes and I'm just like, it's fine. Or like, yeah, that
Okay.
was a long-winded response to that.
No, that's a great answer. And I mean, self-reflection and learning from stuff like that, we're all humans and we're all got to grow, right? So that's awesome. Um, Rogaine Manthic is back. If Amtgard stopped existing, what hobby do you think that you would invest your time into?
So I am a dungeon master, and I feel like if Amtgard just stopped existing, I'd probably do a whole bunch of like I'd probably DM more or force people to not make me DM and actually be a player for once in my life again. So I'd probably do a lot more D&D.
Okay, that's great. Mhm. Do that. Do more D&D. Everyone should. Um, Sir Smiley would like to know, what is your best experience in Amtgard?
My best experience in Amtgard. Let's see here. I mean, I'm sure that my husband would love to say me like, hanging out with him and getting to know him, but I'm going to go all the way back to Neverwinter. So one of my favorite people in Neverwinter is Keldrick of the Seraphim.
Okay.
Um, he is a fantastic fighter and he's amazing. And so he's really, really good. And at one point, our park somehow convinced this amazing fighter to be a dragon.
Mm.
And so he spent most of his time going like this around the field. Like this guy could just kick everyone's butt. And here he was like going, "Rawr, I'm a dragon."
Okay. I love it. Uh, anyone that knows me knows that having a dragon on the battlefield is exactly what I want in my life. Yeah, all the dragons. Would like to know what has been the most unexpected part of taking Kingdom Office.
So I would say how autonomous you can be in Kingdom Office. So there's definitely people who are responding to every single thing. There are people who are kind of doing their own thing. Like I've come up with ideas and my monarch's just been like, yeah, sure, go do it. And I'm just like, okay, I don't need like 700 checks and balances to make sure that everything is, exactly what he's like, no, just go do it. So like, that's one of the things that's kind of been the most interesting is just how much autonomy I kind of have as regent. Like I'm coming up with a new ANS tournament that I'm going to be doing, and I'm it's just me. I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll do this now.
Right.
And so that's been interesting. Just how much I could honestly, as regent, I probably could have done absolutely nothing, or I'm doing what I'm doing, which is doing something every single week. So it's kind of up to me, and that was interesting and not really what I was expecting.
Right. Yeah. You get just kind of free reigns to make 6 months or a year, I don't know, to do whatever you want. Yeah. Super awesome. Kind of. All the time. Bart's back. Bart is back. Baron Art is back. Bart would like to know, why are you such an amazing regent?
I don't feel like I can call myself an amazing regent. I'm pro tem. It's been in the time of COVID. Like there are a lot of things that I'm doing, but I don't know how good of a regent I would be in normal time. I don't know. Like
Oh.
I think it's really hard to compare being a regent during COVID to being a regent during not COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing something every week and I'm trying to allow people to comment and be involved as much as they want to. There's varying levels of interest in the various things that I post. The ones that do actually get the most like interaction actually tend to be more of the role play ones. Like, what would your persona do on a spring day? I think that one
Mm-hmm.
got like 20 different people responding. Whereas the one right now, which is, post something that you've made involving your heraldry, I think there's like 3 people that have posted on it.
Sure.
So I try and have a little bit of diversity in the types of things that I am asking to do, but I also do try and the ones that get the most interest, I try and do more of those because people seem to be excited about them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'll have to see the whole like amazing regent thing when maybe I ever go into office again in a real time.
I
Maybe.
to take a situation like this though, and as someone I've only been the monarch in quarantine, right, in COVID time. If you're putting stuff out there every week and putting the energy out there and asking for engagement, you're doing your work.
Mhm.
People are gonna go in and out of wanting to be engaged in it. Some people are gonna suffer from burnout, and if you have someone who's reaching out and saying you're amazing, so
I totally
clearly,
do that. No, I
Baron
don't.
Art.
I'm not getting any money.
Oh, wow, you're not getting money. No,
Made
okay.
me this, and that's
So to go into your reign as regent, what are the goals for the rest of your time in office?
so. I have a goal for another ANS tournament. Right now, I'm actually seeking out judges, and I've had a couple of volunteers. Um, So I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler to anyone who's actually in Emerald Hills that are going to be listening to this because I haven't announced it yet. But the idea is going to be a timed tournament. So I'm going to give people a theme. and no one gets to know the theme right now, not even you. But they're going to have a theme, and they have to create something involving that theme, and they have a month to do it. And then the judges are going to kind of have a couple of days to like look over a 5-minute video of them presenting the thing that they made involving the theme
Huh?
to judge it. So that way, especially since my reign is up in June, there's still enough time to actually do something. It's not something where judges have to be like take off a specific day and make it happen. And people can be a little bit creative with the theme.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that ends up being fun, and I hope that I end up getting enough judges to do it.
Awesome. That sounds great. Sounds like a lot of fun. Engage on that, people. Do that thing. So we've talked about you being in office. What are your plans after you're out of office?
I would like to relax. I don't think it's going to happen,
Okay.
but I would like to. So I had this whole plan of going up into my wedding. I was not going to be in office.
Mm-hmm.
Park office, definitely not kingdom office. Yeah, that worked out great. I was monarch of Falcon's Moon, and then I got tapped to do regent, and so I just ended up, being in double the park office that I had said I wasn't going to do. So that's been fantastic. So my actual goal is to maybe really relax and maybe get out of office and just be able to enjoy Amtgard.
Okay.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I do have a secondary goal of, you're going to see some comments by Alexander Blackwood. So he is our resident DAG guy. And he really wants to have a lot more cross gaming. And
Okay.
we love our DAG people. So, if other than relaxation, I would really like to work with him to make cross gaming more of a thing, at least in our Norman Park.
Okay. Cool. We do have a question where we talk about cross gaming, and it's coming up relatively quickly. But I'm going to call you on a question that you asked last week. If you could create a ladder award in Amtgard that doesn't already exist, what would it be for, and what would you call it?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting like the reverse Uno card.
It's what I do. It's what I do.
Because the one I like the most is the Jovius, but Jovius exists, so I can't like make just a ladder version of Jovius. I don't feel like that would work out well. Maybe I'm not sure what I would call it yet, but maybe an idea of we have a lot of like service awards, and we have like things like Griffin and Honor and all of that, but especially kind of given the one thing that I kind of would change in my experience with Amtgard, maybe a ladder award that's specific to teaching newbies, kind of like the idea of like fostering like the next generation, a ladder award that is really geared towards making that happen, making people feel accepted, teaching people how to fight. That might be kind of an interesting ladder award.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? It's supposed to be ingrained in what knights are, right? They're supposed to be teaching and whatnot. But if at the very base level, a new player comes to the park and we don't have a knight or something like that, having someone step up to be that teacher, there should be a way to award that. Yeah, that sounds great. So Morgan would like to know then, what is your favorite event and why?
So embarrassingly enough, I don't go to a lot of Interkingdom events. So I know that the one that my knight in particular has told me I need to go to, and this is because he's originally from like the wetlands, is Castlemania.
Okay.
And I love the idea of going and fighting in a castle, because some of my favorite games are castle defense games. So I probably would really enjoy it, but I have never gone.
Okay. All right. Well, you need to get on that. Well, now, and it's frozen in time now, right? Like, this is going to YouTube after this, so you're held to this stance. You're going to have to try them at some point on a Sunday. Which Sunday you'll do it. It'll be fine.
Everything's on Sunday.
Arts back. What is the single most important class you have ever taken?
Okay, so I know that he probably means Amp but it's not Amp So I am a psychologist, and one of the big things that happens in psychology is burnout, and a lot of things that also happen in AmpGuard is burnout.
Mhm.
Now, volunteer burnout is a very real and awful thing, and everyone needs to treat their volunteers better. But I that class was specifically for psychology oriented stuff, but I do feel like it translated really well into being able to work with AmpGuard burnout as well. So I would say that that was probably one of the more important classes that I've taken because it really just generalizes to everything.
I also psychology over here. Psych of religion because it gives you an idea of other people's perceptions of what's going on
Hmm.
and how like we could both be viewing the same thing and it could be one person thinking it with a Christian mindset and the other person thinking of it with a Hindu mindset. And if you just take away and strip away the religion side of it and think about how other people think about things,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's a great answer. That's burnout is a wow. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, Alexander is back, and we talked a little bit about cross gaming. You're giving the floor here to talk about how you feel about cross gaming overall.
I feel like cross gaming is so important and it's something that we don't do enough. Like, I know that, so at least I have heard stories of various places and events where someone will show up and be of a different LARP community and get shut down. Um, for example, I won't name specific LARPs, but I know that me and Radish Manthus went to a specific LARP, and they were basically telling people that they couldn't use specific weapon combinations. And the reason why they didn't want to do that is because they weren't as familiar with it, and we were beating them a whole bunch. And
Mm,
so, like, they were just kind of not allowing it, or like, with DAG, instead of kind of working with people on hits, we're just like, you hit too hard, get off the field. Like, and that's like, yeah, maybe they hit a little bit harder, but they know how to modulate their swings if you tell them. Like, they have an entire system of how to modulate their swings. And
mm,
so we need to do better as just like, as different LARPs, not even just Amp Guard, at fostering a little bit more cross gaming, because the more that you fight and with the more like the different types of fighting that you do and the different types of people you fight, the better you are going to be.
mhm.
So we should do more like joint unit battles and like cross gaming events. Like, it would be a lot of fun and everyone would end up being a better fighter at the end of it.
And isn't what we're trying to do here is in the larger game is create a larger game with inclusivity.
Yeah.
So getting more numbers to Amp by sharing the floor with another LARP, it still gets the objective across. We just have to be more flexible, and that should be okay.
And like, I will say right now, like, I'm not sure if well, you probably are very much not familiar with the Blackwoods and Daggy here, but they have some of the most amazing like combinations of like teams, and like they work together so well. It's like the most beautiful fighting company that you can come across, because like they know exactly what the other one is doing and they can
Mhm.
just circle you and destroy you, and they are a force to be reckoned with. And it's always fun when they come onto the Falcons Moon field because we get horribly beaten all the time, and that's okay. We're learning from it.
Okay. Yeah, though getting beat is a learning experience. That's awesome. It's a great answer. Yes, we should be doing it. One of my favorite questions I've been asking a lot because there are some rule change conversations coming up. If you could change one rule in AmpGuard right now, what would it be and why?
um that is tough.
Hmm.
um
Only the tough questions here on KOK.
hmm. Yeah, now I have to like think. That wasn't one that I like looked at ahead of time.
Well, yeah, because I don't let the questions that I keep on there go back up again. I just leave them on, and Okay, we can come back to it. I'll ask you here in 3 questions.
Okay, I'll think about it.
Cato has a question that he keeps on, but you told me that you had a strong stance for this, so we're going to ask it. What's your thoughts on back shields?
Okay, so the whole reason why I have a stance on it is because I have seen how back shields could be used in like DAG,
Mm-hmm.
and like I've spin it to win it barely ever works, but when you have a back shield, it sometimes works, and so I am for trying to figure out if maybe that can be my rule change. Maybe back shields can be used because
Oh,
um, yeah.
Cato, if you're watching, the rule change was yes, back shields, and now it's back on the table. Now we're going to have the back shield conversation again. Oh, here it goes. Cool. All right. Social Star, you were asked this question
Social
for
star.
Soul Shroud Star. Sorry, the tongue thing. I'm with you on it. You were asked this question 4 different ways. Okay, why did you burn down Radish Manthak's house?
So I did not burn down Radamanthus's house.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that it was an anonymous independent source.
Okay, so you're not necessarily saying you are saying you didn't do it, but you're not pointing the finger at who did it.
Oh, yes, I am. It's
Uh,
an art anonymous independent source.
oh, oh, oh,
Mhm.
oh, oh. I was trying to be vague to allow Art to get away with this, but
No, you shouldn't.
all right. Okay. All right. Sir Smiley's back. What do you hope to achieve in your Amp Guard life?
I want to still enjoy Amber. That is like my biggest goal in AmpGuard isn't necessarily an office or a knighthood or anything. I just want to enjoy AmpGuard for as long as I can. And I feel like sometimes that involves taking steps back so that I can keep enjoying it.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's my overall goal is to still enjoy it and want to do it in years to come.
That's awesome. You can't argue with that. Last question before we get to the most serious of questions. It's from Sir Smiley. What is it more important to help yourself, help your family, help your society, or help your world?
So I'm very much a person of you can't you can't pour from an empty cup. And so I do feel like I don't necessarily think that you should only be focused on yourself in a selfish way,
Hmm.
but I think that it is very hard to help your world, help your society, help your family if you don't take care of yourself.
Hmm.
And so I would say that that's probably the first thing that you need to focus on because, I mean, if let's kind of associate this with AmpGuard a little bit. Like, how am I going to make my kingdom a better place if I am so burnt out that I can't even look at a wacky bat without shuddering?
Yeah.
Like, that's impossible. And as someone who does do psychology, I'm not going to be a good therapist if I feel awful all the time. That's why so many therapists are in therapy to make sure that they can actually do the best for their clients.
Yeah.
So I guess my answer is you start with yourself so that you can do all of those things for other people.
That, that's the right answer. I know that everyone wants to say the world, but if you can't take care of yourself, then, okay. We are to the most serious of questions, and we're going to start off with Turnip Anthrax asking a question. Uh, it's a Doctor Who related question. Which Doctor is your least favorite? Which Master is your most favorite? And who would win a fight between Rose Tyler and Amy Pond?
Least favorite doctor is Matt Smith. Um, yep, not like he's my least favorite. Most favorite master is John Sims,
Okay.
and Rose Tyler would destroy Amy Pond.
I will give you full credit for the whole question because of the Rose Tyler side of it. Um, wow, Matt Smith is your wow. Ooh,
Chris Eccleston is my favorite doctor.
that's the that's such a good answer. Of course, that's because bad wolf story is told in that. But yeah. Okay. Um, let's see. What else can I call this person now? Ronald. Uh, Ronald McDonald, I
Oh
guess.
God.
Um, who is your favorite Straw Hat Pirate?
Um, Frankie, because Frankie is phenomenal and he is super.
I love it. Okay. Question could be kind of, looked upon and studied for a moment. Why do you think people posted a lot of questions in different posts instead of one long post with lots of thought out questions?
Well, I think that a lot of people were just spitballing and probably came up with really cool questions after they had already like come up with one. And so they were just doing that. Or they were trying to make me feel good about the fact that I had so many questions.
You have so many questions. Let's see. I'm gonna try to say it right this time. Radish Mantha? No,
Rata,
Rata
man,
Man
this.
This. Radamanthus. Sorry, Tony. uh, you had to pick 2 amp garters to go into Thunderdome. 2 amp garters enter, 1 amp garter leaves. Who do you pick? Who wins, and why?
So this was the question that I was the most excited about. So I decided that I was going to take this question and basically use old Shroudstar versus new Shroudstar. So the best fighter that I ever witnessed in Neverwinter was Keldrick of the Seraphim, the one who did the dragon thing.
Yep.
And the best fighter that I have witnessed in the Emerald Hills, who's not a member of the Emerald Hills, but he came and he fought and killed a whole bunch of people, is Ozar of the Rogues. So I would want to see Keldrick of the Seraphim versus Ozar of the Rogues. And then basically my little Shroudstar life would be happy. But Ozar has to be wearing the booty shorts that he wore when he came into the Emerald Hills and destroyed a whole bunch of people in a, yeah. He
Okay.
wore
All
booty
right.
shorts. It was great.
I think this is the first time ever that a booty short requirement has been on KOK, so we're here for it. Okay. And who's winning?
So my husband insists that it would be Ozar. He thinks that I have an inflated version of Keldrick because he was like one of the first people who taught me how to fight.
Hmm.
But I think that Keldrick would have a shot. I think he would have a shot. But I do think that Ozar would probably win in the end. I think that Ozar has been fighting more frequently and reliably and would probably come out victorious.
Okay. All right. That reasonable answer. It's a fight. Any given Sunday, as some would say.
Yeah.
Sir, one of Sir Smiley's questions that I've kept for a while, just to break up some of the tension of having to put people in Thunderdome. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color is lime green. It
Okay.
has to be bright and neon.
Okay. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Not as dark as that, but I'm here for a neon green.
It needs to like shine like a really obnoxious Las Vegas light.
Fantastic. Um, Sir Smiley's back. What movie have you seen more than 7 times?
So many. So I'm going to give this answer because there are many, but this one is 10 hours long and it's the 10th Kingdom. And I have definitely seen that more than 7 times. So, I mean, that's already 70 hours of 10th Kingdom.
Okay.
It's a
That's
made for TV like mini series. I count it as a movie because it comes on a DVD.
okay. All right. Rygar Moonthik would like to know if you could be internet famous for any one thing, what would it be?
I would like to say maybe something actually like career related. So I got beat to it, but when I was little, all I wanted to do, so my specialty that I work with in psychology is adults with autism.
Okay.
And so I, when I was kind of going into the field, one of the big things was I really wanted to work with like role playing games and, kind of working with people that way. And I had this whole book that I had planned called like Nerd Therapy that I was going to do with like D&D and AmpGuard and all of the like big types of things and how they can actually be amazing. And then other people got to it first.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, something career related where I'm actually I don't know, being helpful.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Not
good.
something super funny or anything. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. No, I'm reflecting on it. Like that's a really great answer to have. Um, let's see if we can make it funny though with the next question.
Okay.
Can you do sound effects for more fighting videos in my life?
So this is actually a DAG thing. They were doing some fights, and uh, I recently just got over COVID. And so I wasn't able to fight yet because I still have some after effects of stuff. And so, like, I have a cough and I have to use an inhaler, and it's been awful. Do not recommend, by the way, do not recommend. And so instead, I was filming them. And so every once in a while, I would just kind of do like music and stuff while they were fighting. And so,
Nice.
yes, I can totally do it, but I'm hoping that the next time that you guys actually fight, I will be able to fight.
Okay, that's awesome. Can you just come to a Dragon Spine event and do like voiceover and sound effects for it? I'll just fall down for fun if that's what I need to do. Then we can-
Yes, I can do that.
okay. Uh, one of my second favorite questions that I've kept on the funny ones because I think it's really good. Uh, who would play you in a live action Amgard movie?
Rebel Wilson.
Okay, all right, all right. And what is the theme song that goes to this movie
The Buffy the Vampire Slayer theme song.
from the 90s or the
Oh yeah,
movie?
90s, 90s.
Okay, all right. I mean, the movie's from the 90s too, but that's fine.
The TV show, yeah. No words, just epic like guitar stuff.
Okay, cool. If you could convince everyone in the world to do one thing at one point in time, what would that one thing be?
Do I want this to be a better world type thing, or I'm going to go with a better world type thing? Everyone has to plant a tree.
Okay,
Find a place
yeah,
to plant a tree.
that would be a lot of trees planted at once. That would be fantastic. Uh,
We just have to keep them growing.
so Kato asked this question a while ago, but I've left it on because I'm winning. Who's winning the Grow Back Challenge between Kato and me? It's very clearly me.
Well, seeing as I can't see the other person,
Yeah.
I'm going to go with me.
Well, see, that's not how. So Kato's been excluded from this, and it was Kato or Kodiak, and I'm Kodiak. Welcome to Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm going to take 5 points. You can have 3 for being in second place. Kato, third place is 0 points. I'm sorry. All right. Another Sir Smiley question I'd like to keep on here. What one mythical creature should be real?
Hmm. Mythical creature that should be real. Um, I'm going to go with Cthulhu, and then we can all be destroyed and have a horrible deep sleep.
Well, uh, bye
Listen, this is a
everybody.
Shroudstar answer. If everyone gets destroyed, maybe Cthulhu will take pity on me.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe. Uh, by Cthulhu waking up, we're all destroyed, but that's fine. No big deal.
I'll just put him on my shoulder. It'll be fine. I can control him, right? Right?
mm, I don't. I don't know about that. Uh, Bar, I did it again. Baron Art would like to know, what's your favorite thing about art?
Well, I really like just how painless he made my absolute death because, I couldn't even see it coming. And I can't wait to repay him. It'll be great. I just want him to know the love and affection that he gave to me, and I'm going to give it to him like threefold.
It sounds like a wrestling promo. I'm
Oh,
really,
I would win.
I'm really here for it. Sir Smiley would like to know if your 5-year-old self suddenly found themselves inhabiting your current body, what would your 5-year-old self do first?
Listen, I know what my 5-year-old self would do, and it is not appropriate for this.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Wasn't exactly sure what we were going to get there. We'll move on. Stillhat would like to know what's your favorite conspiracy worldwide, and then your favorite Amtgard conspiracy.
My favorite conspiracy worldwide is that birds aren't real because it's amazing. Like that's
Uh,
just an amazing conspiracy.
uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
I almost want it to be real just because, like, just tiny little adorable government drones just like cleaning themselves in the water. It's so cute.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite Amp Guard conspiracy. I mean, I don't really have a favorite Amp Guard conspiracy because they all tend to be really mean.
That's
Like,
true.
every single Amp Guard conspiracy tends to take one thing, inflate it really huge, and just try and destroy people with it. So, like, I don't feel like I can have a favorite Amp Guard conspiracy. If there's like a cutesy one, like, I don't know, that Art burned down Radamanthus's house, but I don't even really feel like that's a conspiracy because it's true. So, but like, in terms of actual, like, the conspiracies that tend to happen, like, they're all mean spirited and yeah.
Okay. As far as the bird question goes, I'm gonna ask if birds are real here in like 3 minutes. So, uh, you know, spoilers.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Is
yeah,
that one of the questions?
it's a Still Hut original. It's stayed on here. I love asking it. But yeah, yeah, it was
Nice.
very. It's so weird that you're like, yeah, birds not being real. And it's like, oh no, here we go. Okay, Morgan would like to know, as clearly as possible, describe the smell of the color green.
Fresh cut grass.
Fresh cut grass. All right, this section is becoming a KOK staple. This is where Sir Smiley asks a bunch of questions. So we're gonna count this as a test, okay?
Huh?
Um, if you get any right, you get 1,000,000 Kodiak points.
Oh no. I'm gonna somehow not get any right.
So let's start off with, what was the largest contiguous empire in history?
Like Genghis Khan's? Yeah?
That that's technically correct. That's the Mongol Empire. That's 1,000,000 Kodiak points, just like that.
It's hailing really bad where I'm at.
I can hear it.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Are you okay?
None of my animals are. Holy. Okay, you can't see this, but it's hail like this big.
Wow. Yeah, yeah. So anyone that's uh-oh. Okay, yeah, go, yeah, go. Okay. All right, well, viewers, that's the end of the episode due to hail. I'll go ahead and do the outro and the announcements, and then we'll end the episode. Maybe we'll be able to get Shroudstar back on later to finish Sir Smiley's very long list of questions. But as far as announcements go, Dragonspine and Burning Lands, the last week for the combined RP page is this week as surprise, Dragonspine. Endrain Coronation is this Saturday. Still have Better Day will be stepping into office as your monarch, and I will be stepping out of office to become your kingdom champion. Uh, as far as other announcements, next week we'll have Redbeard, and hopefully there won't be hail that week either. Shroudstar, if you see this, please be safe. And until next week, this has been King of Kodiak, and I'm Kodiak.